Hello everyone, welcome to a new review. This time we'll be looking at Legendary Celica. Before we start, I want to touch on a few things. First off, Sacred Seal tier list. I'm not skipping it, but I'm going to wait until the New Year's seals come out. I'm waiting because I still need to know what color the seals are, of course. But also because at that point, what's the point in making a tier list update that I'm going to have to update a week later, you know? I already have everything ready for the tier list. It's just, at this point, it's kind of pointless. And while I get it, I would be getting more views, I guess, at the end of the day with making two different videos. Sacred Seal tier lists don't really have a whole lot of content to go through, so it's kind of useless for me to do so, and therefore I'm just going to wait. Sorry for people who have been waiting for this. And I know I've been leaving people a bit in the dark, though I did mention this on Discord, but I mean, not everyone is on my Discord, so yeah. Sorry about that. But yeah, and yeah, I think that's most of the things said here. Show me your build is not going to be this Saturday, sorry, but probably will be next Saturday if I'm actually caught up with the New Year banner. Fingers crossed I am. But yeah, I've been also a bit slow. This should have definitely come out a lot earlier. The reason it took a while is honestly because I guess I've fallen in a bit of a slump, I guess would be what you'd call it. I just had no motivation to work on this banner. I'm gonna be completely honest. Between Avil not demoting, just another slap to the face to every Celica fan out there. And on top of that, just the fact that this is Celica, a character that's honestly... I mean, it's probably a waifu to some, but personally, I don't like the character. I don't hate the character. In fact, I probably hate her a lot less than most people do, because a lot of people really don't like the choice she made, even though that's mostly more so because Jedha is a really good manipulator, but that's an entire story. But at the end of the day, I just did not want to work on this. I had to basically force myself through this. But yeah, other than this, I guess, well, that's about all I have to say. Let's move on to the video itself, shall we? Now, Celica decides to basically steal the weapon of Legendary Alm and make it her own. There was no reason for it to have this kind of effect, but then again, neither did she had any reason to have Royal Sword or Double Lion. So, I mean, all of her alts are basically just Alm's kit reskinned, or just Alm's kit stolen. So, I mean, you know. At least this time she doesn't have Lunar Arc, and if anything, if it wasn't for a B slot, because her B slot is actually quite annoying to deal with, if it wasn't for a B slot, you could genuinely just make a case for the fact that she is a weaker Alm. But her B slot makes her overall more annoying to deal with on enemy phase than Alm. Because at the end of the day, Alm will not be able to run Desperation with no follow-up, and with Desperation won't be able to run no follow-up. This limited him somewhat, and also Celica has better bulk, technically. You'll see why I say this as we go over the sets, but I do honestly think her bulk is going to be something that a lot of people are going to overlook. Wow, she has 18 def and 28 res, that's so bad! Wow, Jay, remember when you said that 1828 was super bad on Scattered Fang Inoka? Well, that also did not age quite well because 30 impact is now a skill. I'll just say that for now and move on. Soul of Zofia is a fairly strong skill. Honestly, no follow-up is not great, but the fact that it has Desperation on top of no follow-up makes it really annoying. It means you can't use Wary Fighter, you can't use anything to block follow-ups, and even if, say, you want to one-shot her, you won't be able to, because even if you, for some reason, right, get a follow-up, Like, have enough speed to block the natural follow-up, and have enough speed to even double an enemy phase impact skills. So you'd have to basically run no follow-up. So basically, I guess you'd have to be Marita. And that's kind of it. Every other unit that really wants to deal with this are typically going to be like, you know, Eris with the weapon, with the special ready. Any unit with a 4 cooldown special with special spiral with the special ready that combos into Brave Lucina. That's oddly specific, I know. Brave Ike with Brave Lucina can also deal with her somewhat decently. And really, that's kind of the problem. There's not a whole lot of things that can tank her. You have to typically play her phaser, which honestly, I do prefer having to deal with that than something like Sophis, or more importantly, Altina. But even then, it's really frustrating to deal with if she has a dancer behind her. Alm is honestly, in some ways, actually easier to deal with. Another thing that is kind of weird is the fact that she has a super boon in speed but not attack. Why that's the case, I don't know. But yeah, let's move on to the next thing. Oh, actually, pair-up units. That's something I want to touch on. Am I the only one that finds pair-up units worthless? Like, they keep releasing more and more pair-up units. This is our 6th. We still are missing the speed legendary hero for fire, which honestly I would have been way more interested in Celica if she was a speed legendary that did not have the pair-up effect. We are also missing the res earth unit for legendaries. And see, that's the thing. Pair-up units already lost all their luster. 90% of the people who already wanted to invest in a unit already did. They already worked on something like plus 10ing. Like, for example, for Earth, they already plus 10 Alm in 9 times out of 10 for characters who ended up, for people rather, who wants to plus 10 their pair-up units. At that point, releasing a new pair-up unit that's Earth is useless. Like, what's the point of Julia? I already have a plus 10 Alm. They both score the same, except Alm is just better in most cases. What's the point? If Celica was a speed buffing legendary, I mean, at the very least, if you're comparing her to other fire legendary, well, unlike Hector, she buffs speed instead of attack. Unlike Marth, she buffs speed instead of res. Like, there is at least something going here. But having 2 units from the same element as pair-up units is worthless. Especially since pair-up units themselves are typically worthless. I know Rocker Siege now allows you to use pair-up units. That's great. I'm actually glad about this because, frankly, at this point we kinda need more of this. But even with that in mind, what's the point of multiple pair-up unit per elements, right? Pair-up is only useful in Rocker Siege and Allegiance Battle. It's useless everywhere else. Are you going to do tower with your pair-up units? If so, you're not doing the right things. Can't use it in GHB, can't use it in training maps as a just stat-up increase for your unit to grind. Can't use it in AR, can't use it in Arena, can't use it in AA, you can't use it anywhere. Mjolnir Strike already gives you pair-up units, and the pair-up bonuses does not work in that mode. Again, what is the point? Do you see the problem I'm trying to get at here? No matter how you look at it, this is pointless. It just boggles my mind. Pair-up units just have no point of existing, especially now since we have duo units. Duo units are basically pair-up units that scores 10 more BST, for one, can be used on top of legendary heroes so they can get actual blessing on top of their stats, and also have actual effect that can be used in every fucking mode, instead of I can be paired up with someone for Rucker Siege and Allegiance Battle. It is so ridiculous. At the very least, I feel like pair-up units should be giving extra stats. Like, just for example, you pair up, say, Leaf to Naga, you should be getting maybe 50% of the stats you would have if the pair-up unit effect was active. So, say my Naga is like, without the weapon, 40 across the board, I should be getting 2 attack speed def res toward my Leaf, for example. It's basic, but it at least means something in other than 2 modes, you know? I don't know, just my 2 cents about pair-up units. I feel like right now pair-up units need a vast amount of change because right now they are useless. There's just no point in having a pair-up unit outside of scoring well in the Legion's battle. Anyway, let's move on to the comparison. Now, I decided to actually put them at plus 10 with Max Dragon Flowers because it is worth mentioning still. There is 2 things to keep in mind here, okay? If Lowin has his special ready, which is an AoE 9 times out of 10, he actually is better than Celica. Ends up with the same amount of speed, 3 less attack, but the same speed. Not to mention, the bulk is virtually the same, and the attack is only 3 points behind. But for Ceti is honestly a lot better because it allows you to set up specials a lot easier, which is one of the 2 sets you're going to be running with Celica. And another thing is just the fact that overall, he's more accessible. Especially since he's Book 2, he might actually end up becoming a weekly revival for Book 2 down the line once Book 2 end up getting Thanos snapped. Honestly, if you want my idea of what the manuscript are going to do, they're going to be basically grails for Gen 1 units, okay? Gen 2 units, or Book 2 units, I guess in this case, potentially, will become Thanos, and then they will be their own weekly rotations. So they will be removing weekly rotation for the Book 1 units, because you're already going to be able to get those units through Grails, more or less, anyway. Which means that the Book 2 unit will be there, and therefore, Lowin will become easy to merge. And if he becomes easy to merge, you can bet your ass that I would definitely spend 1,000 orbs on him over spending 2.2k on Celica. Because overall, they work the same. Just saying. As for Deirdre, okay, here's the thing, right? Deirdre's Weapon Giver free across the board and get rid of any buff your enemy may have. So, her stat line is very deceptive. To put it simply, she is a Celica with utility. You can ploy with her, you can sabotage with her, you can actually make her a very good damage dealer, because you see that speed here? 37 plus 3, 40, plus 6, 46. Or rather, plus 4 because Fury 4, which is our best A slot. You're already at 44 speed, with a buff you're at 50 speed. So you're in already good hands. Mind you, Attack Plus can also work at that point because you are already hitting 47. Personally, I prefer to still go Speed Plus, so I can have freedom and potentially change the A slot depending on the situation. But it's up to you. Personally, I do prefer Speed Plus though. So overall, you're only 4 attack behind. The speed is more or less, you can't really say they're the same. But at that point, Deirdre ends up hitting enough speed to the point where Celica's speed, well, doesn't really matter. You would not even run anything that gives you speed at that point on Celica anyway, because she has too much speed at plus 10. Now, the fact that she can ploy, the fact that she can sabotage on top of being a very good offensive unit, because at the end of the day, she's only 4 attack behind, and you have to realize, unlike Celica, she gets rid of debuffs. Now, there is also the case that Saintly Seraphim is a bit of a annoying weapon because it does it does basically give true damage based off res. Right. The thing with Deirdre, though, is that since she gets rid of debuff, she can be fairly tanky, and despite the fact that her weapon only pushes her to 25 def, which is still better than Celica, you can actually make her fairly bulky. In fact, if you run something like Sturdy Impact, which is something Celica can also run, you end up being extremely bulky, or you can just try to run Fury 4 and be a mixed phase unit. Celica is horrible on enemy phase. Saintly Seraphim, just as Alm's weapon, have no effect on enemy phase. A lot of people actually fail to realize this because you typically try to enemy phase them because the fact that they have so much range is so dangerous and easy and hard to deal with. So yeah, it's actually something you can do. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that at low merges, Deirdre is better than Celica. That is completely false. Yeah, she still has the utility going for her, but at that point, she can be very shaky in terms of speed. So, on low merges, Deirdre is better. Celica is better, sorry. Deirdre is better on higher merges, though I would not really say better, because overall Celica is a better damage dealer, especially as an AoE buster set. And actually even outdoes low-in in that regard. But Celica, the thing is, Deirdre requires investment, right? She requires investment in the sense that you need to have merges to really make her work. Honestly, early as +2 to make her speed be even salvageable with Fury 4 and a bunch of flowers. And even then, you have to invest the flowers. Celica is good from the get-go, and that's definitely the main draw of her. And you can also offset for Seti to some extent with her B slot, because it has Desperation, which make her fairly good. The thing is, I don't want to say it's kind of useless, but Blade Tome Desperation does a lot of things just as well. You have to kind of realize this the second that Blade Tome comes in the picture. The fact that you scrape an extra 12, 13 true damage in your weapon, where the other unit gets 30 extra attack, 24 attack if the enemy has combat disadvantage for the color, it's overall kind of pointless, isn't it? So there's kind of that as a problem. But there's still her B slot that's really good. Say if it wasn't for a B slot, I would just say, just run Desperation on like Nino with Fury and Blade Tome, I guess. And you'd be getting very similar results. Alm does not have that problem because Blade Tomes just don't exist as far as colorless goes, let alone range colorless. So Celica loses a lot of viability overall with this, but that does not make her bad. She's overall fairly solid. That said, she is a bit boring. She only has 2 sets, because at the end of the day, there's not really a whole lot you can do with her. So here's the 2 sets I would suggest for her. The set on the left, Flashing Blade is mostly here if you have to not deal with something with DC. If you feel like DC is consistent enough of a problem, you can just get rid of Flashing Blade altogether, and instead, or you can do 2 things actually. You can run Luna as your A skill, or Draconic Aura. One of the 2 is just fine. Or you can run Soul if you just want to have this kind of sustain for multiple fights. Or instead, what you can do is remove Flashing Blade and run Sturdy Blow, I guess Swift Sparrow at low merges if you really want it. It's not worth it, by the way. But it's just typically you want to have just more attack, right? Attack +3 works just as fine. Oh, honestly, the main problem is just the fact that there's not a whole lot you can do that makes her that much better. Your seal slot is in this very awkward situation, unless you just decide to just, I guess, forsake the attack plus and go rest plus instead, and then run Sturdy Blow. That's also an option you can do. Other than this, it's a very obvious set. Right now, you're already hitting 38 def and 38 res. As for the attack and speed, I don't think I have to explain. 71-51 is fairly solid. And the fact that you're taking whatever your res on your enemy is, and the fact that you're potentially in desperation range, and you block follow-up from sturdy impact from those pesky fast units, just overall is nasty. I guess unit like Ira that has like just instant special will just eat her up in one hit. But those units are fairly rare, and the second you're in desperation, even those units tend to have a problem with her, because you just have enough speed anyway. That's kind of the problem with this unit though. It's 100% glass cannon, okay? And that's kind of the problem. You're just a glass cannon. Guess what a blade tome does? It's a glass cannon. That said, it's a very strong glass cannon. Blazing Wind stacks with the bow, by the way. If you initiate and you have, say, you're dealing with someone with 40 def, you get, you know, 25% of this, so you do 10 damage on the AoE, plus 5 damage from Flashing Blade, and then 15 damage on each hit afterward. So at that point, even if you're dealing with someone with 40 res, you're already, just with the true damage, dealing 30 damage to them. Oh, and by the way, Saintly Seraphim is a check that happens in combat. So even if they run something like Warding Stance. Warding Stance for Mirror Strike, whatever. It does count toward the weapon. And that's kind of one of the reasons it's actually really annoying to deal with. So yeah, it's overall a fairly strong weapon. And Special Spiral is just to be able to spam AoEs. Res Smoke is something you can run, though if you consider killing a Bronya for that, I would just say no. Savage Blow typically do just as fine as far as the AoE set is concerned. As for Ruptured Sky, I mean, it's really only good if you use her with a Dancer. If you can't really run a Dancer alongside her, it's kind of worthless. And even if you have a Dancer, 9 times out of 10 she has overkills amounts of damage, to a point where Res Smoke is pretty useless, unless you're doing something like Abyssal LHBs and MHBs. So just keep that in mind. And beside, you'll most likely get pity broken by Grima going for something at one point. I only pulled for Claude on that banner, and I killed him off immediately for Leaf, so there was that. I was lucky enough not to get Grima, but I can imagine other people not being this lucky, so yeah. And with that said, let's talk about the banner itself, shall we? Whoop. The banner is very iffy. Like, if you go in colorless, for example, Mystic Boost is a fantastic skill. Low speed def on Claude is fairly solid. There's a lot less people that can use low speed def than low attack def, which is why I consider it to be a worse fodder than low attack def. But even so, it is a fairly good skill. Def Smoke is not worth foddering Claude for, unless you can fodder low speed def and Def Smoke for whatever reason. And that's kind of the problem, right? There's not a whole lot of fodder in colorless. It is the worst color to pull for. Outside of Claude, as far as unit performance is concerned, Claude is the only one that's really good. And Air is good fodder at the very least. But that's kind of it. Colorless is very iffy. Now, the second worst color is probably going to be red, I'd say. And blue. Let me explain. Red has Distinct Counter and Bonus Doubler, which are both really good. Warding Breath lost a lot of its value, and honestly I might lower it down to good fodder instead of amazing fodder. Purely because Brave Lucina is now a thing. Outside of Dragons, no one really wants to run Breath, because it's just better to run Brave Lucina alongside the unit. Why? Just because it opens your A slot for something like Distinct Counter, you know? So, overall, breath skills have lost a lot of popularity, and that is just normal, honestly. Bonus doubler, though, is still really good. It's just that a lot of cases you prefer to run an impact skill over them, like for example Brunia. You can use bonus doubler, that's fine. In fact, I actually have it on my Brunia for a more player phase set. But even so, 9 times out of 10 you kind of prefer sturdy impact, especially at high merges. One thing you have to understand with Brunia is that merges are key. And therefore, bonus doubler, especially at low merges, is very good. But, you know, that's really up to you. I definitely, you know, bought the pack that gave Legendary Roy and killed him off immediately for him. For her, rather. And Red is a fantastic unit. Honestly, as far as unit goes, for this entire banner, is probably the second best unit, only after Celica. Rid is insane, and also going to be a bonus unit, I believe, starting next season, if memory is right, which is really good. I honestly would not kill him for this encounter. There are better units to kill for this encounter. Rid is just a really excellent unit. Take that as someone that uses him constantly. He's always my lead unit for people on my friend list, and I don't know. I've never really heard of anything too negative about him because everyone runs attack smoke on their horses, and you use horses 9 times out of 10, even in like Grand Conquest, because even in Grand Conquest when it's not horse day, it doesn't matter. You just do so much better with horses than anything else that's the bonus unit. But yeah. On the other hand, you have Blue, and Blue has low attack depth and death blow 4 in one unit. Dimitri himself is, my opinion for him has not changed. I'm basically just waiting for his promoted variation, the post-time skip variant, because this one is not doing it, Chief. Being a horse unit just makes him not good, to put it simply. So, yeah. As for Naga, here's the problem. Naga does not have fodder, and Altina is just better in every way. Naga is actually one of these units that's actually properly balanced and like really good, but at the same time in AR not so much. But everywhere else she can be a monster. The problem is that Altina not only outclasses her in AR, because she doesn't have a weakness to Trazir, which is always going to be present on the same week as Naga, but also, more importantly, Altina's broken. Naga is balanced. Like, Naga has a lot of potential to be very strong, but it requires you to have positioning, it requires you to be careful with your characters, it requires a ton of things. All of those are not things you care about Altina. Altina does not even care what team comp she's in. She just kills. The biggest thing you can do to improve Altina is just run Brazen Attack Res in the Seal slot instead of Heavy Blade, because you use Brave Lucina to combo into her. That's it. That's how much improvement you can really make with team play. It's retarded. Absolutely retarded, no matter how you look at it. So Naga lost a lot of flair, to say the least. She's bad fodder, and she's just worse than Altina at everything. Despite the fact that she's a different color, I think it's safe to say that any other Astra units that are not Altina are basically dead on arrival. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. As far as Mythic and Legendary are concerned, Altina is hands down the best unit of the bunch. Because they decided to give Brave Weapon and DC on the same unit. And then properly decided, oh yeah, cooldown -1 with DC, that's too strong. Yes, I am still bitter about the Thrakia banner. There are so many things that went wrong with that banner. No demote, no 4-man banner, had to be called Peony in more just because, you know, the end more is not important. I should just cut myself here, because otherwise I'm just going to keep ranting about this. There's no banner that has been making me more angry than the Celica banner. I genuinely don't think there's any banner out there that has just genuinely pissed me off more than that one. And it's purely out of passion, but my god, I hate it. Anyway. Then comes the green color. Now, Swift Sparrow 3 can work on certain units. The problem with Swift Sparrow 3 is typically you want to at least have some speed for enemy phase, and unless you run Swift Sparrow 3 with darting stance, you typically lock yourself to be a player phase unit. Now, Swift Sparrow 3 can still work on some units, but typically it's not worth it. Like, it can work on units that don't have enough speed. Like, for example, base Lilina. You can go speed plus with Swift Sparrow 3, and then you end up with 36 speed. Add buff to that, you're at 42 speed. Add merges to that, and you're at 46 speed. Add dragon flowers to that, you're at 48 speed. I think you get the idea. Still, it's a fairly solid skill to have. The Oath skill, I did not even mention it on her base kit, because I do think Oath skills are pointless. Rouse skills at the very least. Like, let me just put it this way. Oath skill requires you to be next to someone for it to trigger, right? Because it has to be, you have to be next to someone, you typically are close to your core team, and because you're close to your core team, you typically already have access to tactic buffs. And unlike something like with everyone or joint skills, it does not buff yourself and the user next to you. So it's just overall a mess. Great, I get extra stat that I could just use any tactic for. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. No matter how you look at it, it's not worth it. So, it's just overall a mess of a skill. Now, Trazier, I've already made my case on her. I do think that she's fairly underwhelming because she brings pretty much nothing to the table. She has good bulk because of her weapon. But at the very least now, she works well in conjunction with Brunia. And that's basically all the positive I can say about her. And even with Brunia, she has this very awkward synergy. Because, let me put it this way, right? You would want to basically attack with Trazier, then you would want to repo Trazier with Brunia, so you can actually, like, tank with Brunia incoming waves because of the 4 across the board, because of the fact that you are immune to debuff, because of the fact that you're immune to 2 of the 4 stat of your enemy's buff if you have a low skills. Makes her really strong as a tank. And then you realize that the fact that you move after you got the debuff up gets rid of the debuff. Great. So you have a lot of position where you basically have to attack with Trazier after you've moved Brunia somewhere and then just move her away with a different unit, which can be very clunky. I'm not saying it's impossible to do, it's very much possible to do, but it's definitely on more of the awkward side. And the problem with Trazier is that 9 times out of 10, if you're going to use Trazier, it's going to be as a nuke. What nuke would you pick between Trazier or Celica? Right? It's definitely iffy to go out of your way to just be like, oh yeah, Trazier is just better than Celica. I do find it kind of funny that Trazier came out, what, like 3 months back, and she's already useless? Great, guys. Very cool. Yep, that's what I want. At the very least, she has really good fodder. Flashing Blade 4 is definitely welcome for a lot of AoE user. Mostly those that don't have cooldown -1, like base Mia, for example, or Loin, or Celica. Yeah, you kind of see where I'm going here. In a lot of cases, Trazier is probably better. It's just better used as fodder for Celica than used herself. And then you have Elogar, who is, honestly, outside of Brave-like, there is not a single axe that comes close to her. I think she's better than Duo Ephraim in just about every way outside of the Duo skill, but the Duo skill on Ephraim is awkward as all hell. So 9 times out of 10, you're just better off using Elogar over Ephraim. Just because cooldown -1 over attack +3 is just way stronger of a weapon. Opens your options a lot more, and just overall is frankly better. Not to mention attack def solo is really good. Rouse attack def is still solid. I do think that, you know, Rouse skills are just overall better OF skills, no matter how you look at them. It's just that attack def is a bit awkward because Legendary Alm buffs your attack and your defense anyway, across the map. So in a lot of cases where you would want to use a Rouse skill, you can just use Eliwood with a dragon on the team and you're good to go. Especially with dragons like Ninian, who has no attack, so she doesn't get to steal the buff. So overall, it's kind of awkward, right? Other than this, I'd say green is by far the best color to pull from. It has either good units or great fodder, and sometimes even both. So yeah, green is by far the best. Blue and red comes down to your personal choice. Low attack def, for example, very, very, very good skill. And on the other hand, you have red with bonus doubler in this encounter, as well as red just being a really good unit overall. Blue has no really good unit. Peony is solid, but you really just need the one that you get for free. Getting more of her is kind of just pointless. Naga is just a worse Altina, and Dimitri is just really good fodder, and if it wasn't for Dimitri, blue would be worthless. In fact, worse than colorless. Yep, because blue dual flyer is cool and all, but look, the only flyers that can use it already have the skill. The one unit that can use the skill that doesn't already have the skill is Bright Ninian, and Bright Ninian is kind of worse than both. Yeah. But yeah, I believe that's about all I have to say about the banner. In conclusion, I do think Celica is a very good unit, but the fact that Blade Tome just exists makes Celica overall not a poor investment, but an investment that's really hard to make. 9 times out of 10, you're just going to be better to invest into Legendary Alm, no matter how you look at it. That's just the way I look at things, though. And with that said, I think I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you so much for watching, and again, I'm so sorry for the delay on those videos. I definitely wish I was a lot quicker on this, but moods are just mood. When you just don't want to work on something, it's really hard to force yourself to work on something. The New Year banner should be a lot quicker to get to be, you know, out. And it might be also released today, but don't cross your finger on that one. If anything, Monday is most likely going to be the day I'm going to be releasing it. I might just decide to release the New Year banner as well as the New Year free unit tier list update, which I will say this right now, is looking a lot better than what people think she is. A lot of people are already throwing her under the bus, and I'm just looking at her, I'm like, but look, she's like better in everything than her base version. What is wrong with you guys? Well, we'll see when we get to there. Until then, I think I'm gonna cut it here. And I guess I'll be seeing you tomorrow on the stream when I'll be working on video, most likely. Have a nice one, everyone, and good night.